Mr. Speaker, on November 27th, the Prime Minister avoided my question and tried to deflect the failures of his immigration minister to protect Canadians and secure our borders. The Prime Minister should worry less about the opposition leader and concentrate more about his ongoing refusal to name the individuals implicated in working on behalf of Chinese foreign interests and bring them to justice. What is motivating the Prime Minister to not provide those names? Is he afraid that on that list are members of his own party or his own cabinet? People who have benefited from Chinese foreign interference? Mr. Speaker, treason is a serious offense, and as is being bought off by foreign influencers and being in receipt of electoral and financial benefits, as reported by Entecop. These are all very serious matters that require full investigation by the appropriate authorities. The Prime Minister does not have the legal authority to determine if traitors get shielded from our laws. The Prime Minister knows the damage and the danger caused by his weak and ineffectual immigration minister and the precarious position his failures are posing to the Canadian economy in light of the 25% tariff threat issued by President-elect Trump. How is it possible, Mr. Speaker, that a Prime Minister will shelter people and permit a porous border where terrorists and those out to betray our democracy and our country are given free entry passes? Are we now to see another influx of extremists like we've seen with the IRGC, but this time from potential extremists exiting Syria? Mr. Speaker, at least 14 countries have already frozen Syrian asylum applications, 4 of which, by the way, are fellow G7 members. What about Canada? Is the immigration minister going to let even more extremists waltz into Canada under the pretext of being bona fide refugees, eager to exploit our compassion as Canadians and our refugee program as a cover to avoid detection or persecution? Mr. Speaker, what kind of immigration and refugee system do we have under this government? Because it seems more interested in letting in terrorists rather than to act to defend our borders and protect Canadians. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister must come clean and explain why he's so reluctant to bring those names forward for investigation and prosecution. And this entire mess can't be the product of some misguided, personal, or twisted interpretation by the Prime Minister of some form of executive privilege. It is the Prime Minister's duty to protect Canadians, our democracy, and our economy. And while he's at it, he must find a new immigration minister who's actually capable of doing the job. Mr. Speaker, it's not a coincidence that the Prime Minister did not bring the immigration minister with him to Mar-a-Lago, despite one of the core issues being the fact that there were 358 people on the U.S. terror watch list stopped from crossing into the United States from Canada. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, how did these people enter Canada in the first place? For the same period, 52 people were stopped on the U.S.-Mexico border. That's nearly 1/7 of the terror suspects stopped at the Canada-U.S. border. And before, Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary secretary accuses me of talking down our country. No, it's focusing on the safety of Canadians and the dangers of this government and the worst immigration minister in our nation's 157-year history. So my question to the parliamentary secretary is simple. If someone who worked for him messed up this bad, putting his team, his staff, his customers at risk, wouldn't they fire them? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Government of Canada takes the security of our borders and the integrity of our immigration system very seriously. We have process and measures in place to safeguard Canadians, while also ensuring that those who seek to come here are treated with dignity and respect. As part of our risk mitigation process, Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada, in collaboration with Canada Border Service Agency, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the Canadian Security Intelligence Services, conduct comprehensive security screening to identify those who might pose a threat to Canadians. Everyone coming to our country must meet entry and admissibility requirements. Before entering Canada, everyone is screened to ensure individuals don't pose a threat to the health, safety, or security of Canadians. This pre-screening is conducted through visa or electronic travel authorization applications. It involves verifying identity and assessing for potential risk and can involve the use of biographic and biometric information. We check applicants' fingerprints against a wide range of databases, including RCMP and international partner holdings, to identify potential security risk. These thorough checks help maintain the integrity of our immigration system and keep our country safe, while facilitating the safe travel of those who do not pose a risk. Applicants flagged as potential threats are referred to and undergo further screening by the CBSA and CSIS. Immigration officers evaluate admissibility under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, addressing criminality, security risk, and misrepresentation. CBSA officers conduct another layer of screening upon entry into Canada. People who misrepresent themselves, uses fraudulent documents, or are flagged in the system can be denied entry. All adults who claim asylum in Canada are subject to comprehensive security screening by CBSA and CSIS. Once people are admitted to Canada, security partners and law enforcement work together to manage threat within our borders. To uphold the integrity of our immigration system, we collaborate with international partners to establish agreements that enhances our shared commitment to secure and effective processes. These agreements allow for the secure exchange of immigration data and personal information of applicants to support informed decision-making and strengthen the integrity and efficiency of our immigration system. These partners are essential in helping to make swift, reliable decisions about admissibility, enhancing security, and promoting legitimate travels. The Government of Canada is committed to continuing to protect our borders and communities and to uphold a fair and well-managed immigration system. We will keep working with our partners to strengthen our system and keep our country safe. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Spadina, Fort York.
Mr. Speaker, given the complete and utter failure of this government and the immigration minister, honestly, I don't blame the parliamentary secretary for reading word for word from his script. And frankly, I don't blame him either for trying to run out the clock with his government-issued talking points. Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary secretary talked about safeguards. Let's look at how those safeguards are performing. Earlier this summer, a father-son duo were arrested in Toronto before they could execute an advanced stage terror plot and an attack in Toronto, Canada. That father was in an ISIS terror video pictured dismembering a body of a victim that they had murdered, hacking at them with a sword. So the safeguards aren't working. What is the plan? What is the plan to keep Canadians safe, defend the integrity of our immigration system, and secure our borders, Mr. Speaker?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Mr. Speaker, the Government of Canada continues to prioritize security at our borders and integrating integrity within our immigration system. I reiterate that all people applying to IRCC must meet specific requirements. All foreign nationals are screened before entering Canada. IRCC also collaborates with its partners to conduct thorough security screening. Admissibility decisions are evidence-based and are placed in to identify those who might pose a threat to Canadians, while facilitating the safe travel of those who pose no risk. Canada collaborates with international partners to securely exchange immigration data and personal information of applicants. This enhances security, support, informed decision, and promotes legitimate travel. Through the many steps taken by this government and IRCC, we will continue to protect our border and maintain a fair, well-managed immigration system. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.